something so seemingly trivial as a morning breakfast could lead to bombings and murder. How could that happen? And that's what I want to explain to you all here now. You've got to understand that the Panthers, when you are in a situation where you have systemically, you have put together an organized, systemic program of being able to do something that seems as trivial as feeding your people. There is an old saying that revolutions begin when the people get hungry. Revolutions begin when the people are unfed. And whoever puts food in your mouth, if you're hungry, the people who are able to feed you, you're going to have loyalty. You're going to have deference to that. If there is only one source of food, you've only got one place you can go to be fed. You've only got one place that you can go to eat, one source of your daily bread, then the entire society is going to bow to that singular altar. Let me put this in more economic terms. There is a reason that governments do not allow multiple currencies. When you go to a nation, there is only one currency. Just one. There are not multiple currencies. There's only one national currency. Now, there are other economic reasons why that do make sense, such as devaluation and inflation. In America, you used to have dozens of currencies and fluctuations in value were rampant. So yes, a central currency certainly did alleviate a lot of that issue, but also it gives the government control. They are now able to determine who eats and who doesn't. Those of you who obey, you will eat. Those of you who do not, we will squeeze the vice. So in the case of just currency, you can see why they would want autocratic control. If you actually control your own viable currency, well, now that government structure has a direct competitor. You see, when you control the money, you make the rules. Without a gun. When you control the currency, you make the rules without a gun. Well, guess what? When you control the food supply, then once again, you make the rules. If you are the only source of food, then you make the rules. So when you see that your most undesirable segment of the society, that you have constructed your entire social order around making sure that they stay oppressed and controlled, they are now able to feed themselves. Whoa, that ain't minor. That's huge. That's cataclysmic. That's earth-shattering. Wait a minute. How do we starve them out if they can feed themselves? If they've got a nationwide apparatus to feed themselves, they have a counter-agricultural system. Whoa! So you mean when they get up tomorrow morning, I don't have the leverage of empty bellies and missed meal cramps and the threat of starvation, which is a form of violence, by the way. I don't have the leverage of the threat of starvation. They won't starve without me. At that point, you become optional. When people know that they ain't gonna starve without you, you become optional. And they know that obedience cannot be optional. Because if obedience to them becomes an option and not an obligation, then next time you get out of pocket with these black folk, they're going to be like, oh, by the way, I don't get my meals from you. And if I don't get my money from you, I can go hog wild on your ass. Because you can't take my money and you can't take food out of my mouth. And in the case of the Panthers, if you're armed, you're not going to put a hand on me either. So you've got your own way of feeding yourselves and your own means of protecting yourselves. Whoa. So you have basically set up a parallel government. You have basically set up a parallel government. You call it the Black Panthers. That's what you call it. But that's not what it is. It is not a political party. It is a parallel social order. And now you started getting a grasp of the basic human needs. Food, clothing, shelter. Next up comes monetary system. But what really changed first and foremost is that you divorced yourself of the idea that the only place I can get food is from the very people who are oppressing me. That's the only place I can get it. So I got to toe the line and I got to play nice because that's the only place I can go. Yes, brothers and sisters, a free lunch program is cause for war. Or, as the guy said in that James Bond movie, when they were trying to steal those people's water in that country, he said, this is the most precious resource on earth. We have to control as much of it as we can. Yeah, if you decide who eats and who can drink water, yeah. When you control the basic necessities, just that right there, yeah, you got them where you want them. You've got them where you want them. You see, when you're able to feed people, you got leverage. And this is why resources are so absolutely fundamental and essential. What separates the Black Channel from everybody else is that we discuss resources. We discuss the need for being able to do it. We discuss the need for being resourceful. You see, last week I did the IT workshop. Oh yeah, I'm drawing all the threads together. Last week here on the Black Channel, I did the IT workshop. And you got to understand, that's a devastating program. It really, really is. Because you see, Silicon Valley today is really infested and is primarily composed of white supremacist computer geeks. They're computer geeks, but they're white supremacists as they can be. All the way up to Mark Zuckerberg. And beyond. Especially here on this website. But they don't have the ability to do what they would like to say, because what they would like to say is, well, if we didn't show up for work tomorrow, then the internet wouldn't run. But when you see that I can set up an IT workshop and I literally get dozens of black people who are like, yes, I'm trained in IT. I can set up servers. I can set up raids. We can do we can do every aspect of this. It's like, oh hell, we haven't got you oppressed enough. If we've got to keep fighting, because if we disappear, there are too many of you, not a majority, but there are too many of you who could step into our place tomorrow morning if we disappeared. So we don't have autocratic control. We got to keep the vice on your necks. We got to keep the boots on your faces, because there are too many of you who have the ability to rise up. If we didn't have the boot on your neck, there are too many of you who could rise up. And you could replace us not tomorrow, but tonight. Tonight. It is absolutely essential that you cannot be allowed to even think of yourself. Understand, something as basic as food, and they went to war and started murdering people so that you would not even begin getting the thought in your head that even something as basic as food is something you could do for yourselves. Africans invented agriculture, and today they want you to believe that you couldn't do it without them, to the point that they've gone to war against black farmers. No, they don't want young black people growing up with the idea that their agriculture is something you could do on your own. Something as basic as the food in your mouth. Yes, they want to have mental control, mental domination, that you associate food with them, the ability to eat with them. So much so to the point that if you even thought about rebelling, then you would immediately freeze, because you'd be like, yeah, but if I did, who's gonna run the tractors and who's gonna deliver the food? Well, damn it, Negro, you are. You are. Well, I don't know if I can do that there. So now they're bringing in their buffer classes to make sure that it never becomes a requirement on you to do it yourself, because once you see you can do it yourself, you will immediately lose all tolerance for being abused. Once you've got the ability to provide for yourself, your entire mentality immediately changes. There was all sorts of little bull crap you were tolerating before. Now you don't. Just that quickly. Yesterday you were tolerating it. This morning, if he comes through that door with that bull jive that he was doing yesterday, now you're going to start putting boots to asses. Because now you don't have to take it anymore. Now that you started delivering it for yourself and cultivating it for yourself, providing it for yourself, providing it for you and your children, providing it for the neighborhood. Now that you've got the ability to do that, now you've got a taste of what real power is like. And along with real power comes not tolerating abuse. Most black folk today are accustomed to being abused, so much so to the point that they will sit up and argue in favor of it and rationalize it. When you are providing for yourself, you don't rationalize abuse. You don't do that. You don't rationalize people doing things like that. That's not what you do. Bobby Rush has been in Congress for decades and has never once talked like this. He's been in Congress for decades and never once said anything like this. You go and listen to Fred Hampton at 21 years old. Bobby Rush sounds nothing like him and never has. You can't find a single speech that sounds like it. Bobby Rush never sounded like it and never will. He's not an old warrior. He's an old beaten dog. And I suggest to you that he never was. And I'm going to say something else here tonight. Most of those so-called Black Panthers were not. First of all, a bunch of folks who say they were Black Panthers actually really weren't. Y'all need to make sure that you demand that people give you documentation and proof. If they were members of the Panthers, they can show you their documentation. Don't take anybody's word for it. Got a bunch of old Negroes that now that black empowerment, that the children picked up on black empowerment by osmosis, a bunch of these old niggas who know that they wasn't doing nothing back in the day have been trying to reinvent themselves. They've been trying to reinvent themselves since I was a teenager. Now that they see that we're not buying into their post-racial society because we know it's a lie, now all of a sudden they trying to reinvent themselves. And everybody was with the Panthers back then. No, all young people today, if anybody tells you that they were, demand proof, demand evidence, tell them I need to see your documentation. Where's your paperwork? I gotta see your paperwork. Because it's a bunch of old niggas today false flagging and claiming that they put in work they never did and that there were places they never were. They getting their Bernie Sanders on. You want to know where Bernie Sanders got it from? He got it from a bunch of these old niggas. He was like, well, these young folk, they don't always check the paperwork. They don't always demand documentation. New black media told you to demand the documentation. Things change after that. Once you demand the documentation and they start shuffling their feet and they start stuttering and they start humming and all of a sudden they ain't giving straight answers. Oh, okay, you was false flagging. All right, I just wanted to be sure you were false flagging. That's what that is. You were false flagging. Yeah, I thought it was that way. I thought it was that way. They've had decades to talk like this. We shouldn't be talking about Fred Hampton. We should be talking about Bobby Rush beating the drum in the middle of the United States Congress. Has never happened. Fought all this time. We need to get some black faces in high places. You got them there and nothing changed. They got in there and started acting like the very white politicians that they claimed that they were going to be against. And I'm saying this now because I want you all to adopt a brand new mindset of looking at things here, a brand new way of looking at it. But first and foremost, I want us to understand when you talk about someone of the courage and the principle of a Fred Hampton, that you have got to make it very, very clear. We have got to stay singularly focused, because if we don't, we open ourselves up to heresy and apostasy. And the Bobby Rushes, and there's a bunch of young versions of Bobby Rush running around right now, Simone Sanders, and a never-ending phalanx of them. There's a whole bunch of them who want to tell us that you're too narrow-minded. If you're focused only on black folk, you're too narrow-minded. Shout out Kamala Harris. Shout out Kamala Harris. There are many lessons we can take from the life of Fred Hampton, but one of the lessons I want you all to adopt is it is eat this, drink this, sleep this, think this, breathe this, feel this, live this, love this, everything we are, black first. That we start there. Everything begins there. We are not here to take care of the rest of the world. The whole reason that the Black Channel exists is because the rest of the world is doing damn fine. We're the only ones who actually need anything. Everybody else is doing just fine. They're trying to, we're still waiting for prosperity. They're trying to enhance theirs. That's the difference. It's not that everybody's doing equally bad. No, they're not. There is no analog for us anywhere else. No, there isn't. There is no parallel for us in Asian society. There is not. There's no parallel for us in Latino society. There is not. There's none. There's none. And what they will try to do is they will try to take Fred Hampton in this film that was set up to be a warning to black people. Set up to be a warning to black people. They will instead tell you that Fred Hampton was an advocate for black and brown coalitions. That's what they will tell you. I want you all to understand how insidious this is. They will tell you that that Fred Hampton's life is proof that we need a minority coalition. They'll tell you that Fred Hampton was standing up for all peoples, po peoples, white peoples. While we can even play the audio of him saying he was standing up for white folks. He was here for poor folks. He wasn't so narrow-minded on black people. And then next thing you know, they're telling all of us it's minority coalition time. I want you to understand that. Understand the real lessons here. And we honor the memory and the life of Fred Hampton. And I also want to issue to you a warning not to allow yourself to use language that can be loaded and used against us in the future by the despicable likes of Bobby Rush, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, and their degenerate ilk. Lot more coming here tonight, but in the meantime, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on earth today. You are welcome to join us. If you have been instructed that you need to call up, then you have 2 minutes to get on the line and to inform my mods that you are on the line. If you do not do that within the next 2 minutes, you will be banned. So once again, if you've been informed that you need to call, that's not optional. You have to call up. If you are not on the line within 2 minutes, then you will be removed for trolling. And no, don't be surprised. In a situation like this where folks have to stand by their words, don't be surprised if it doesn't happen. But in the meantime, the telephone lines are now open. It's 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. This is the Black Channel. Let me get a caller from area code 323. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from 323 has been abducted. Caller from area code 224. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
It's Mason from Chicago.
All right, brother. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I have two questions. So, I confronted my mother about a situation like a few months ago, and she'll say, "Well, you weren't there." I hear a lot of baby boomers say that shit. There were no black businesses because people were forced to go to jobs and everything like that. So you can't be hard and call people coons. And then you also hear people say, man, I forgot the second question, but yeah, that's what I have to say. And I just get confused because it's I know there's someone like you.
Dr. Claude Anderson already covered this. After slavery, black people had the greatest economic advance and boom really in human history. And we actually had to do it all by ourselves. We went from having 0 banks to having hundreds of them. We went from having no real businesses to having thousands of them. Everywhere. We went from having nothing but congenital poverty to actually having our own black Wall Streets that in many places they were doing better than their white civic counterparts. The black Greenwood, Archer, and Pine, that got burned down because the black folk there were living better than the white folk were. So what your mother is saying is absolute nonsense because everything was going cool. Then we get to the 60s. And if she's fighting that hard to defend what is obvious, I'm giving you this information so that you understand that no, we were doing just fine until we got to the 60s. And they were told, if you want interracial sexual access, then give up your businesses, give up your schools, give up your identity. It ain't about blackness. That stuff, Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad, it ain't about blackness. It's about integration. Give up your identity and we will give you the option of interracial sexual access. And that was the carrot and the lure that got so many of them to buy into it. And once you take a look at the 60s, coming out of the 60s, you go into the 70s. Next thing you know, your movies, your music, everything else, we went from black people focusing only on black people to all of a sudden, everything becomes this desperate pursuit of escapism, interracial sexual access to the exclusion of all other things, including survival. And that's how you end up here. So do not let her lie to you about that. The numbers are clear. Our accomplishments are clear. Her generation deliberately abandoned the field because they thought they were going to be able to do all types of unseemly things to get ahead, and it didn't happen. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get a caller from area code 219. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, JB, how you doing? This is MB from Indiana.
MB from Indiana? We're at in Indiana.
We up north, Gary, Indiana, as a matter of fact.
All right, brother, what's on your mind?
I have a question. I have this theory, as a matter of fact. I want to go ahead and speak fast but yet clear. I want to keep the line open. Being a Chicago native, and I'm seeing the climate, I see the landscape of things. Since we're talking about the Black Panthers, I've actually talked to authentic Black Panthers, and it's amazing. These people, when you really examine them, these are moral men. These are men. These are men of God. They may not be the white God that was fed to us, but these men live by a code. I've heard stories of them doing things as they would beat up the drug dealer and throw the heroin down the gutter. Now, when we look at the timeline, I can't help but to notice when the Panthers left the scene, that's when your Larry Hoovers, your gangster disciples and whatnot, you had those types come in. And these were the same type of brothers from the streets. And these brothers were getting so much dope. Now, we all know the cloak and dagger stories of how the dope got into the hoods, but I want to just stick to the point. Is it just me who notices
We're not gonna be able to we're not gonna be able to monologue, brother. But I'll go ahead and have you get to the point though. But we're not gonna be able to monologue for 30 minutes. We got a bunch of people on the line, so let you go ahead and get to your point.
I'll be right to the point. It just seems like it's not a coincidence. Once the soldiers left the field, we hit all the Pips, all the Morris Days, all the Larry Hoovers and whatnot come in. And being a Chicago native, it seems like we have people like, oh, yeah, I'm all about Malcolm X, black first. And in the same breath, these same individuals will say, free Larry Hoover. It's just ass backwards. Brother, I appreciate your time. Black first to you and everybody in the chat. I'll leave it up to you with the last words.
Well, I am of a mind that I'm not really super judgmental about our soldiers because the Bloods and the Crips were outgrowths of the Black Panther Party. When you go take a look at that documentary, Bastards of the Party, the Bloods and the Crips were really outgrowths of that. They were really fighting the police because you didn't have anything else. It was far from a perfect solution. And it's not like they had some cohesive game plan that they could handle. Understand, as black people, I want y'all to understand something. Continuity of a society is very important. I want the young people to listen to me right now. Continuity is very important. When you have some bastard baby-making hoe, I'm telling you like it is. If that's your mama, it's just what it is. You got to get over it. Telling you that continuity of genetics doesn't matter. You smack her in the mouth. Continuity matters. One generation going to the other matters. It matters. Otherwise, every generation is having to start over and basically like being on a desert island and you have to learn how to make fire and cook for yourselves. It's like starting over from zero all over again. No, continuity matters. Having elders and mentors so you ain't starting from zero every generation. That matters. Having generational resources passed down, that matters. And not just, when I say generational resources, I'm not just talking about monetary, I'm also talking about intellectual. Having intellectual resources passed down from one generation to another. Having leaders who are able to mentor the next generation directly on how to do this. That matters. And what they did was they took a street warfare mentality. They went to Oakland. They went to Chicago. They went to Cleveland. They went to DC. They went to New York, and they were murdering the black street prophets everywhere. They were murdering them all over the place so that they wouldn't become mentors to the next generation, because today the Black Panther Party is giving you free meals as children. But they understood today we're feeding these children, but tomorrow we're recruiting them. The 10-ton analysis you'll receive nowhere else. You want to know why they feared the free lunch program of the Black Panthers? You damn right. Today, we've set up our own parallel structure. Today, we are feeding these young children who come in here, and they recognize us and acknowledge us. They call you Mr. Black. They call you Mr. Brown, but tomorrow, those young children, we're recruiting them. The young children tomorrow are going to help us wash the dishes. They're going to help us clean up the plates. They're going to help us unload the trucks. And then the next week, we are going to teach them how to get raised up and say, okay, now we're going to give you responsibilities. Now you're going to go on watch. Now you're going to learn firearms training. Today we fed you. Tomorrow we are going to teach you how to defend yourself and then defend your family and defend your neighborhood. Shout out Geronimo Pratt. Yes, today you're the little kids we're feeding, but tomorrow you will be our recruits. And I'm not going to sit up here and quibble over those things. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to judge the soldiers who didn't have proper commanders. When you talk about Tookie Williams and whatnot, they didn't have proper commanders. There wasn't a systemic organized structure that could take them and lead them and mold them, because you killed all the mentors. If you want to know what that bloodbath, that 20-year bloodbath of assassinations, if you want to know what that was for, it was to make sure that you didn't have any local infrastructure that could be built up. And then instead what they did was they grabbed a bunch of boot-licking ass kissers and elevated them to be, okay, well, don't worry, you want political representation? Here you go. And not only is it political representation, why, he's one of the Panthers. Didn't you say that you liked the Panthers? Well, we brought you one of the Panthers. Here he is. He represents you now. Surely he won't steer you wrong. Why, you can trust old Uncle Bobby. He won't steer you wrong. As a matter of fact, this is what you asked for. You asked for one of the Panthers if you only had one of the Panthers to lead. So we found the most butt-broken, butt-kissing, white-sucking-up Negro we possibly could, and he'll be your representative decade after decade after decade, and he will do nothing for you. And that's why the children, when they grew up, they were aimless, because they murdered all of the mentors who would have inculcated the next generation to replicate the food program and build that into bigger and better things. Yes, they went on a campaign to murder every one of them, because you are not perpetuating a program, you're perpetuating an idea. And that can't be allowed. Caller from area code 310. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, this is Ron from Los Angeles.
Ron from Los Angeles. What's on your mind?
I had a quick question about, I guess, the older generation. When I was growing up, my grandmother would tell me about how she was with the Black Panthers and how she would serve breakfast with the Black Panthers to the, free breakfast to the kids, right? But nowadays, she's laid up with a white man and she's kind of like, hugged up. She's kind of cooning a little bit. So I just wanted to know, why is it that when the older generation kind of got older, a lot of these Panthers, they kind of threw away their, I guess their code that they originally came up with, and they're not really like with that anymore. So
because they never were. Because they never were. The system understood that and really, to be totally honest with you, it still lasts today. A lot of black folk understand that they are being oppressed, but they're not dedicated to destroying the system that has oppressed them. They're really only dedicated to getting the boot off their own neck. They're not trying to destroy the foot and the leg that the boot is attached to. They just want to get the boot off their own neck. And the dominant society knows this. They know that most black folk are really self-centered and only looking out for themselves. And if they can get individual benefits for themselves, well, they'll leave everybody else to their own. So a lot of folk who were involved in the Panthers is because they didn't have any other option. They didn't have any other option. Back then, the society wouldn't let you be a bystander. It wouldn't let you over there with them. There were just the fighters and the dead. They wouldn't let you do that. And what the society realizes, well, hell, if we take our foot off their necks just a little bit, that will be, and let them scurry around like roaches, because up until now we've been stamping them out. Let them scurry around like roaches, and they'll accept it. They will live in that condition. They will live in that condition. And these old niggas, that's why I tell y'all, they have attempted to rewrite their own histories. They're attempting to rewrite their own history to something that they know is false, hoping that since they were so far from the events, that you won't actually demand documentation. And when I tell you all, ask for documentation, then you start figuring out that's a different thing. That's the real difference. So don't be fooled. Demand documentation from your mothers, your fathers, your grandparents. Everybody got to do a paperwork check. Well, they little old, but Jason, they little old ladies, I don't give a damn if she's on a ventilator, on a gurney. You do like a shady lawyer. Ma'am, I need to see your documentation. Got to see it. I will not accept anything else. I got to see your documentation. I got to see some maid figures who vouch for you. And understand, if folk really got that, brother, they can show it to you. If they really have it. If they don't have it, they're going to give you a bunch of excuses. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Please do give us a call again. Let me get caller from area code 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
ATBA, Anthony from Queens, New York.
Anthony from Queens, what's on your mind?
Yeah, so with Bobby Rush, I think what he represents is kind of twofold in a sense. You know, one, he shows the ineptitude of the black political establishment, and also what he shows, unfortunately, is the ineptitude of the black body politic. We should see, you know, we saw that clip that you played. He shouldn't be leading anyone. He should be in a nursing home, to be honest. But when we see that, we're taught not to disrespect our elders. So we see Bobby Rush, we see John Lewis, we see Elijah Cummings, Maxine Waters, all in. They're really old, the old niggas as you call them. We're scared to basically put them out to pasture for not doing anything for us. So I think, you know, what we should be doing is we should be a little bit more ruthless in terms of letting these people go, telling them that they're being replaced by somebody black, somebody younger, somebody who has that spirit of a Fred Hampton. So, you know, I think we have to be a little bit more ruthless going forward.
Well, we definitely need to be more strict and more uncompromising. Compromise is a dirty word. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let's go ahead and get caller from area code 470. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello?
Caller from area code 470. You're on live.
Okay, my name is Chichi.
Your name is Kiki.
Chichi.
Your name is Chi-Chi. Okay, and where are you calling from, Chi-Chi?
I'm calling from Clarksville, Tennessee.
You're calling from Clarksville, Tennessee, and is that an accent I hear?
Yes, it is.
And where are your people originally from?
Nigeria.
Your people are originally from Nigeria. And what was on your mind?
I made a comment. I agree. I listen to you often. And I agree with a lot of what you say. And I'm educated about the plight of the Black Americans. Like, we don't really understand what has happened over the years. But I made a comment about class, and that class is the ruling ideology, is class that determines every policy that comes out of the U.S. government. And you can hear my accent, and my people moved here because we were under oppression.
Okay, in the chat room, I said that it's not about class or gender, it is about race. And you responded, but it is about class.
Yes, it's about class.
Okay, and explain to us exactly why it is not about race, but it's about class.
Even if you say, like, for instance, people like Barack Obama and all the other black figureheads, they've already disproven this idea that you can put a black person there and the plight of black people all over the world will change. I mean, he was the first black president that brought back slavery to the continent of Africa. So anything that is being discussed and anything that is being pushed without class, without talking about class, because you always be sold out. Because in Africa, we have white supremacists enforcing black people there.
Okay, show us. Okay, ma'am, show us the place on earth where black people occupy a higher class than white people in the same area.
I just give you an instance. In
Okay,
Africa, you have very well.
ma'am, it is a simple question. If the issue is class and not race, then you should be able to show us a place in the world, a geographic area, not a hand-picked individual, a place where black people as a group are in a higher class than their white neighbors as a group. Name the place in the world on this planet where black people as a group are doing better and are of a higher class than their white neighbors. Name it. Don't give me an explanation. Just name. No. Just name the country, ma'am. Don't say my name. Name the country, not my name. Name it.
I gave an instance where I'm coming from, Nigeria, where my people come from. And I told you that you have people.
Ma'am, I asked you to say a name. I asked you to name the country where black people occupy a higher class than white people. And so far, you're refusing to say a single one.
I just named Nigeria. That's a place.
You're trying
Nigeria
to tell us that
country.
black people in Nigeria occupy a higher class than white people. Are you really trying to lie on this phone?
But what I'm telling you,
where in Nigeria? Ma'am, first of all, you're not gonna talk over the host, Umfunge. We're not gonna talk over the host. You're trying to tell the whole damn world right now this lie that black folk in Nigeria are doing so great. If black people in Nigeria were doing so great, why the hell did you come over here?
You weren't listening to me.
Ma'am, if black people in Nigeria are a higher class than the white, ma'am, don't have me call Sally Struthers and the Feed the Children people to quiet you up. Let's not do that.
You try to do devoid of class is a waste of time.
Look here, I will call the village witch doctor to come and shut your afro-wearing afro-eating ass up. You better watch it.
You don't need to insult me.
I'm not insulting you, ma'am. Do not. It is called do not talk over the host.
You have about almost 6,000 people listening.
Umfunge is on the line here now, and understand something. They dropped her off. They dropped her and the rest of the Coon family off in Tennessee. That's what they did. So, Boomalunge, and by the way, she's still talking, by the way. I muted her and you can just sit there and she's still talking. I am the Nigerian hood rat and we come to America. We were doing good in Nigeria. You were doing so good that you fled, which is what cowards do. Y'all were such a higher class than white folk over there. You fled to Clarksville, Tennessee, a rural area in Tennessee. Y'all were so ballin' over there that you got up and left. Now, the white folk haven't left. The white folk paid a bunch of money to get there. Your ass, on the other hand, turned tail and ran with your bowl of rice and the village witch doctor and the grass skirts in tow. No, we don't need to hear anything else from you. I want y'all to understand, if you want to know about the immigrant thing, if you want to know why it is that we're like, hey, enough of the immigrant thing, this is what they're sending over.
You don't tie it to class analysis because the people.
And by the way, she's got the accent and everything. You Akatas. It is not about race. It is about class. It is about class. I come from Wakanda. Okay, then how the hell did you end up in Clarksville, Hairy Butt, Tennessee? Well, because we was on the move and we doing things.
Okay.
We thought that they were balling over there.
I'm just saying, engage with what I'm saying and stop wasting.
And by the way, her name is Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi. Doesn't that sound like the kind of name that those African bedwenches have on TikTok or on Tinder or Bumble? Doesn't that sound like the name of an African hood rat on Bumble? Doesn't it sound like that? You tell me. Chi-Chi, that sounds like the name of one of them hood rats on Bumble. We're looking for a white. I am looking for a white man. These niggas in America, these Akatas. I do not fool with these niggas in Nigeria. I do not talk to them. I need me a white man who knows how to treat me right. And then they ended up in Tennessee. Oh, I heard you have plenty of white men here. I will go to Tennessee and I will show them I am not like these Akatas.
There's no need. There's no need to be condescending. I said I agree
yes,
with a lot of what
she's
you say.
still
But
talking.
the fact that we have to
Yes. No, I'm leaving her there because it's hilarious. But I'm just saying, by the way, y'all, I keep muting her. She's still talking. She's literally sitting there talking. If you all think hood rat culture is confined to the United States, you are grossly mistaken. But by the way, yes, if you all want to know, they're not, you all were under the assumption they were just sending them all to New York, sending them all to Los Angeles, sending them to some major metropolitan area. No, they're targeting where black folk are, and black folk are in the southern states. So they start dumping a bunch of them off in the southern states, the Confederate states. These are going to be the new Negroes. These are going to be the new Negroes. So Boozalisa here is here to let y'all know we are here to replace the Akata is what we do. We have come all the way from Nigeria, and it is not about race. It is about class, and it is about skin lightening cream. Yes, if you all want to know what it is.
To call myself exotic, I'm not ashamed of where I came from. I know the history of where I came
Budalisa, how old are you?
That the real
how old are you, Budalisa?
Okay,
we'll mute her while she's doing her meth, but understand, they bring them over here, and they'll bring the whole family. So understand, they vet them before they come. The immigration people talk to them before they come. They want to know what you feel about being black before you come. Oh, I'm not worried about that. Those troublemaking niggas that you have in America, we are not like them at all. Okay, but if things are going so great in Nigeria, why the hell have you fled? Well, you know, there is more to the story than that, Jason. You are not listening. There is more to the story than that. Hey, Budalisa, why did y'all pack up and flee Africa?
Okay.
Put down the chicken. Put down the chicken bone. Put down the chicken bone and just explain to people, why did you leave Africa? Okay. If things are going so great over there in Nigeria, what the hell are you and the whole family packed up like the Beverly Hillbillies coming over here for if things are so balling and so banging?
And that's just it. You're not serious. I thought you were a serious human being.
Why did you not stay in Africa if it was so great?
That doesn't change anything.
Okay. So now it doesn't change anything. Okay.
How it directly.
Yeah. Now that doesn't matter. Okay, but you claim that you were of a higher class than the white people. If you were, and the white folk haven't left. So let me get this straight. The white folk came to Africa. They're in Nigeria. The Asians are all over Nigeria, by the way. The Asians and the Russians, all these non-black folk are all over Nigeria, taking the damn place over, and Budalisa here has gotten on the line, and off she goes telling us that they were of a higher class than everybody else in Africa, and then they got on the first thing with wings over here.
Of the CIA, if you don't know.
Okay, well, Budalisa, how old are you?
It doesn't matter how old I am.
It does not matter.
All I can see is that you're not.
Okay, so it does not matter. It does not matter why I left. It does not matter why we are here. It does not matter what my age is. The only thing you have to understand is that I like Cardi B, and they should not just do something for black people. And if you pull yourself up by your bootstraps, everything will be fine. And we were kings and queens in Nigeria. We were running things. Okay, why'd you leave? It does not matter why we left. Do not ask why we left. I was the queen of Zamunda back then.
Just like every other problem in Black America, the people that are in the higher class, the people that are in the ruling class.
Okay. There you go. Yeah, if you all want to know why it is that Joe Biden wants to open up the floodgates, that's what they're opening up the floodgates to. And there's a bunch of Negroes trying to chase exotic sex, but understand that just got off the line. straight off the plane from Nigeria and telling all of us that there is no problem. It's not about race, it's about class, and telling us that the Igbo and the Yoruba and the Husafalani and the Delta are just balling out of control while Echo City is being built by nothing but Asians and white folk, and she's claiming that the black people are of a higher class in Nigeria. What the hip-hoppity hell? If somebody's got the phone number to the village witch doctor, tell them that he needs to come and pick up his receptionist. She's out here wilding the hell out and talking to us like we're crazy. In Tennessee, if you all want to know, this is supposed to be the new Negro class to replace you. If you all want to know why it is that we are so strident right now about doing the paperwork check, because everybody who's black, we can't go by that standard anymore. If you want to know why we are so serious and say, hey, black isn't enough anymore, that phone call right there, that was why. She sat there and told you. And by the way, who's the first person you quoted? Barack Obama. But understand, she's letting you know, yeah, we're not black. It's not about race. You're too focused on race. Well, but race is an ever-present, obvious thing. Yes, but Mr. Akata, if you keep that up, how am I ever going to get me a white man? If you keep this up, you are making trouble for us. You have us focusing on race, and that is going to get in the way of me getting a white man. And by the way, did you see the way that she was just squealing and yelling and just talking on and on and on? That's the mentality that she has. Now, do you think that she's a quiet, submissive woman to a black man? No. Let a white man stomp his feet. She gonna be looking down. Yes, sir. Yes, white daddy. Is there anything that you need? Anything at all? So when we talk about these buffer classes and we talk about the immigration debate, if you want to know what it is, that phone call right there was a textbook study. That was a case study of all the problems right there encapsulated. Thanks to Budaliza for calling in. Let me get caller from area code 224. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
From Evanston.
Let me take that off of here. Go ahead and say it again, brother. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Name is Antoine from Evanston, Illinois.
Antoine from Evanston, Illinois. What's on your mind?
All right, look, I watched actually one of my mentors was ex-Black Panther, but nonetheless, in short, man, what those brothers was able to do in that short while, it just was astonishing. And then I look at a lot of other organizations that predated and even lasted, 50 years after, your Black Greeks, your churches, etc. And they have not even, I can't even, for the most part, think anything tangible that they was able to do that's on the same level or even comparative to that. So,
and amazingly enough, we got more resources now than we had then. That's the amazing thing. We got more black people who actually have, as individuals, who actually have more resources we can call on since then. But what they've done is they've gotten black folk conditioned to think that your individual status and they basically gotten to abandon everybody else. If we make you all right, that'll be it. And that becomes the mindset. So that's where we at the grassroots have to come in. LeBron James doesn't talk like us today because that's really something he gravitated to. He talks like us today because we were uncompromising. And that's the real shame of it, is that we should have 1,000 more like Fred Hampton, 1,000,000 more. But the real thing is we're going to have to keep pressure on everybody. It's not enough to just have one guy at the Black Channel and whatnot use his resources in this way. It's going to have to be incumbent on everyone, which is why I've tried to do my part to teach the rest of you how to replicate it in your own individual lives, because we can't count on our celebrity class and you can't count on your elderly class. So you're going to have to count on each other. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you're calling from? Okay, caller from 773 has been abducted. Caller from area code 301. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you're calling from?
D from the DMV area of Maryland.
D.
Upper Marlboro.
Okay, D, and what's on your mind?
Yeah. It's a couple things, and also what you talked about earlier. So just also made me think of some stuff. The COINTELPRO program was very thorough at just looking at the killing folks, killing our black leadership or black warrior class. Because if you look at just what Fred Hampton, if you look at and do an examination on this young man who was only 21 years old, and you just look at, he really had no real wins that he did, but he was just killed on potential. They saw the potential, and they killed him based on potential. And
oh no, I disagree with that. I would disagree with that actually. If you're talking about Fred Hampton,
well, I mean, if
you're talking about Fred Hampton,
well, you think about it.
No,
the breakfast program was already enforced through Oakland, so it was kind of a mandated program to the Panthers.
Well, brother, here's the thing, okay? You all need to understand what a win actually is. Do you know how hard it is to galvanize a group of 20 people? Have you ever had to actually go out on your own, walk down the street, and get 20 people, especially 20 black people together, to agree on anything? Now, I've done that. You all are here at the Black Channel because I spent over a decade doing this here. But do you understand how incredibly hard that sounds so simple until you actually get out, walk the street on your own and try to do it and try to pull it off? So have you ever attempted to walk down the street and get 20 random black people to agree on any one thing?
Well, not by myself.
Okay.
But using some kind of organization.
Okay, but that's my point.
But
my point is, okay, brother. We got folk here tonight. Okay, sir. Everybody can hear me on the phone tonight. So if you all try to talk over the host, I'm gonna just start dropping people. We're not gonna do that at all. I'm hosting my program. We're not gonna go there. Budaliza was entertaining. The rest of you are not. You've made my point. The point, we're not going to talk past the point. You said he didn't really have any wins. I am correcting that fallacious assumption. Being able to get 20 people together, and I'm just using the number of 20, much less 200. Well, he didn't have any wins. By the same token, Dr. King didn't have any wins either. If we're going to use that as the standard. It's not like he got any legislation passed. All the legislation passed after he was killed. So the real question is, if he didn't have any wins, then why was he killed? Because if he didn't have any wins, that means he was harmless. He was safe.
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's not what I'm saying.
Brother,
I'm saying that they saw potential.
Brother, I'm going to try this again. Okay? I'm going to try this one more time. You are being corrected. The words you used, and regardless of what you're trying to reword the intent of now, your phrasing and words and the construction behind it are horribly flawed. My job is to correct that. So why don't we just listen for a few moments and get corrected? By that standard and that metric, which is completely erroneous, by that metric, Malcolm X and Dr. King didn't have any wins either. By that metric. Well, it's about potential. No, it wasn't about potential. It's about what they accomplished. Because when you go and watch the words of J. Edgar Hoover, this is why it's important for some of you to actually know some things. After the March on Washington, J. Edgar Hoover, for those of you who have forgotten, J. Edgar Hoover called Dr. King the most dangerous Negro or nigger in America. But you forget why he said it. And that's the part that's missing. And that's why what you said is completely wrong right out the gate. It's not about potential. This ain't potential anymore. Well, Jason, why is it that J. Edgar Hoover said that Dr. King was so dangerous because of the March on Washington? Because he said if it's 500,000, they said if there's 500,000 peaceful protesters, peaceful marchers, he said, yes, but if you put a gun in each of their hands, you've got a standing army. That was the reason J. Edgar Hoover said this nigga gotta die. You see a bunch of marching protesters. I see a standing army that hasn't picked up their arms yet. And my job is to make sure that the yet doesn't happen. But he's done it. Now, before now, you couldn't galvanize that many black people except by government fiat or a government order. This one black man was able to achieve something that only a government agency is supposed to be able to do. And he's done it in place after place after place after place. And now he's brought them all right here to the very steps, the literal steps of the United States government. The standing army is right outside. And we just witnessed a month ago what Donald Trump could do. Under the exact same circumstances, he brought the United States government to a standstill. That wasn't potential. While you're yammering at the jaws, that ain't potential. You're not thinking this through all the way. You're not cognizant of history. Donald Trump just showed J. Edgar Hoover's fear was valid. He didn't kill Dr. King because it was a potential threat. He killed him because he understood, damn it, the threat is here. It ain't on its way. It's here now. Donald Trump was just the first one who had the guts to actually pull the trigger on it. Dr. King wasn't trying to pull the trigger. Okay, you could tell J. Edgar Hoover that. Well, sir, Dr. King didn't pull the trigger. Yeah, but what's to stop him? So you mean that our government remains standing, not because of our own power, but because of that Negro's whim? Today, he doesn't want to overthrow the government, but what if we wake up tomorrow or the next year and he decides he does? Or what if he decides he wants to take over a state house? He doesn't come to Washington. He instead goes to Mobile, Alabama, Birmingham, and decides to do it there. Or Albany, New York. 500,000 people. Remember, the United States military today only has 2 million people. Today. I want to say back then the number was closer to 1 million. But the United States military today only has 2 million people. Black people are a 40 million person population at least. That's the problem. The reason why they keep trying to quell these uprisings and put them down as quickly as they can is because you ain't got enough military personnel to stop black people as a group if they ever rose up, which is why you need your immigrant buffer classes. Remember what happened in Los Angeles and other places? It was the Latinos who got on the roof talking about if the niggas come in our neighborhoods, we're shooting. Yeah, because you don't have enough actual legitimate signed military personnel to stop them. You never have. So when you see Fred Hampton in Chicago get together a couple of hundred black folk, the only thing they're missing are the guns. Oh, wait a minute, the Black Panthers specialized in that too. So that means every morning that you get up, you are just waiting. Is today gonna be the day? Is today gonna be the day? Is today gonna be the day? And every morning when you start your city council meetings, is today going to be the day? Is today going to be the day? Is something, because we're always killing black folks, so you're just waiting for an incident to happen that galvanizes people. Mike Brown galvanized people. Eric Garner galvanized people, and then George Floyd galvanized people across the country as a result of the murders that had taken place for the previous 6 years. This is the worst case scenario. It doesn't happen on the day that George Floyd gets killed. It was all the murders that came before that teed this up and set this up. And if you don't take action before George Floyd is killed, well, you're going to live with the consequences when they get there. No, that's not potential. He showed he is a black male wearing a military beret, military fatigues, carrying firearms, and got hundreds of people to come to his side. Now, for those of you who don't know, regular police departments in major metropolitan areas. I think in Chicago, I want to say they only have 50,000 police. It's not like New York with 100,000 cops. I want to say it's somewhere about a fraction of the size of that. I know that for a fact. I'm not even guessing. I'm just saying you all can look up the number to be precise if you want to. But please. And they even count administrative people. But as far as beat cops, the ones who actually handle uprisings, no, that number is much smaller. It doesn't actually. Why do you think it is that a couple of hundred black folk can line up outside of a police station and they call in the National Guard? Why is it that the local police, with all this military equipment that they have that's been given to them by the U.S. government, surplus equipment from Iraq, it's been given to them, armored vehicles given to them, and they still have to call in the National Guard to deal with a couple of hundred people? Because it ain't enough. It's never been. So if you tell yourself that a couple of hundred black folk couldn't bring the Chicago Police Department to a standstill, you don't know warfare. And as far as the establishment is concerned, the only thing that's keeping them in place is, well, these Negroes have a whim. We exist at their whim, and white folk ain't gonna live at our whim. They want to know that they got it. Sir, you are too eager to talk. You really are. You really, really are. As black people, this isn't potential. And that's why I said, if you've never actually had to walk down the street and get 20 random black people to join your cause, you don't know a success when you see one. Fred wasn't potentially succeeding. He had already succeeded. This is what I'm talking about. This is a basic ignorance of history. Why do you think they made the slave codes that black people as a group could not gather together? They understood it then on the plantations. Don't let 5 of them, 5. You can't let 5 get together in a circle and start putting their heads together. Wait a minute, but it's just 5. 5 is enough. Then you got this young man who's got hundreds, and he's sitting up in the streets clearly articulating and airing the grievances, and he's got a gun in his hands. His goal wasn't to attack a police station. His goal was to successfully plant an idea of resistance. He did not potentially succeed at that. He succeeded. You got to die now. We cannot wait. He's 21 years old. We will be fighting. He's 21 years old in 1969. We will be fighting this little bastard for the next 40 damn years. 21. We'll be fighting him for the next 50 years. Only he'll have galvanized a bunch of others. Why? Because he's one of their peers. He's young. We gotta X him out now. He's already succeeded. The free lunch program, at this point right here, those are tools he can use. They're mature. The tools are starting to mature. Now he can move on to the next step. Now that we have fed you, it is time to indoctrinate you. That's not potential. That's success. They didn't kill the potentially successful. They killed our successes. Not the ones who were on their way. That was the goal, to plant the idea.
Well, I was using it in the context of the COINTELPRO memo to prevent the rise of a black messiah, one that would organize, that could electrify, and had the potential, though had the capacity to organize several organizations to create one black national leader.
Okay,
that's what I meant.
Sir, you're seizing on a single sentence without understanding the psychology of power. That's the problem here. You're seizing on a single sentence, and that's not the point. The point is
okay. And I might have misworded that. That's correct. Okay.
No, you didn't misword it. You didn't misword it. You're repeating the phrase correctly. I'm saying that you're misunderstanding the psychology of power. The problem that they've always had isn't that black folk as a group will not, that you got one group over here and another group over there and whatnot, and bringing them together. That's not been the issue. The issue isn't finding a black messiah. The problem is you got 1,000 of them. They went around killing all the black messiahs. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King were walking side by side. At the same time, Elijah Muhammad was still alive. This wasn't a fear of us. Everybody latches onto that phrase in connection to just Fred Hampton. But the truth is, they got Fred, they got Huey, they got everybody they could. There was not a single individual that they worried about. They worried about hundreds of others who were doing the same thing, which is why they pursued they put together an entire government program to pursue all of them. But they had already succeeded.
I totally agree.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. He totally agrees. Brothers and sisters, Fred Hampton was not a potential success. He has succeeded. Anybody here who works in political activism, any college students who are trying to do their student council, any of them, y'all need to understand. Folk don't understand how hard it is to galvanize people. You know how hard it is to galvanize somebody to get 20 people on the same damn page? That is hard as hell. He was able to do this, hundreds of people, at the age of 21. With no formal organization, no formal training. That's what he did by 21. Where would he be by 25? He's already succeeded at 21. Where would he be by 25? Caller from area code 562. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Okay, 562 has been abducted. Caller from area code 405. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Turn off your speakers.
Oh, yes, this is Win from Oklahoma.
Win from where at in Oklahoma?
Oklahoma City, boss.
And what's on your mind?
Well, you're right on point. A lot of the, things that you're saying are just, again, arrow bullseye. I actually had the pleasure of reading a book called Panther Baby, and by Brother Jamal Joseph. And I think he was like one of the younger members in the Panthers. I think he was about 15 at the time. And he kind of detailed his life, being a Panther and having to, again, leave the country, go to Algiers and stuff like that to kind of get away from these pigs. So, long story short, here in Oklahoma, right, the Black Wall Street, right in Tulsa, when you talk about the founder, which is O.W. Gurley, right, he was a black man that people might not know that.
Okay, brother, we're going on for a while here. My callers tonight are really kind of going hog wild, brother. Can we just get to whatever the point is?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure, brother. Well, again, what I would like to see is us really try to recreate it again. Any of our youth, particularly the black males, right, that are from 12 to 18. What I'd like to see is HVAC, right, electrical and plumbing, right. We can get with the churches, right. Let's start a program up, right. If you're 12 from 18, right, let's start training these young men. That way, when they do actually hit the workforce.
Well, I'm actually working on that. I'm actually working on a skill trades workshop. I just did the IT workshop last week. I'm actually working on putting together a skill trades workshop. So that's the kind of thing I want to look at in the future. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I'm definitely going to be looking into that kind of thing going forward here. On your screen right now, that's the picture of the police bringing out the body of Fred Hampton after they murdered him. Everybody's going to talk about William O'Neill and everything, but I want you all to understand, 21 years old, bogus FBI report, bogus warrant from a bogus county attorney. They went in and assassinated people. That was the goal. And Fred Hampton wasn't dead when they shot him the first time. They got everybody else away, and then they murdered him and shot him dead. It was an assassination. And no one has ever been held accountable for it. Therefore, we have to be the ones to hold them accountable. Caller from area code 716. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you're calling from?
Yo, what's going on? This is Sai coming from Niagara Falls.
Aside from Niagara Falls, what's on your mind?
Yeah, so first of all, I give props to you and Tariq Nasheed. Y'all be going in on those agents from overseas, man. They try to come over here trying to tell us what racism don't exist and all that crazy shit. But I'm glad you took care of that lady from before, though. But I do have a question, though. So I just turned 21 just like a week ago, and I got to thinking for myself because I was watching Judas and the Black Messiah, and I was thinking about, you probably touched on it, and my question is, I should probably already know the answer, but I want to get it from you because you always got the definite answers for everything. So I just want to know, how can I, as a 21-year-old, contribute, make my mark in the world before my time comes, and, how can I carry the torch?
First and foremost, you are going to have to embrace Black empowerment. And Black empowerment begins with you as an individual. If you are socioeconomically weak, you can't help yourself and you can't help anybody else. So the first thing you must do is that you have to visualize yourself as a cell. Black society is the human body. You are a cell in the human body. Cancer is a corruption of the cells. If you are going to help the rest of us, you're going to have to be a strong cell. You cannot be a weak cell within the body. Therefore, if your finances are not straight, they must be. Your mental and emotional discipline must be together. If you do not have excess income and disposable income and resources, you can't help the rest of us. If you are struggling, you can't do anything for anyone else. You have to have a specialty, something that you specialize in. I remind people about how when Samuel Gompers helped to basically put together organized labor in America, one of the rules in order to join the AFL-CIO was that you had to have a skill. You had to be a skilled worker. That was one of the first rules. That was paramount. You had to have a skill. Why? Because if you don't have a skill, you're too easily replaced. You can't be unskilled. You have to have a specific skill that you excel at. So that's where you get the pipe trades and welding and electrical, because those are specific skills that take time to learn. Because they take time to learn, they're not something easily replaced. Because they're not easily replaced, they're valuable. If you are thinking that you're going to help us by putting in an entry-level job application at Walmart, that's not going to work. You're going to have to put in, you're 21 years old, you've got the time now. The real fight for you starts in your late 20s. You're supposed to be putting in the time now between the ages of 24 and 21 and 25 to make sure that you've locked down a legitimate skill you can use. Now, for Black men, I advise them that they should go into either one of the trades and become a contractor. Now, notice I said those two things together, the trades and become a contractor. So you can do carpentry, electrical, piping, whatever, but the goal should be to be a contractor, not to go to work for somebody else. You go to work for somebody else long enough to get your own gear and your own equipment, get some of them contracts from him, and then you start your own thing. You go to be a contractor. Or you can go into either STEM or accounting. But that's going to be it. That's where you need to go. When you do that, when you come out, you will be able to help the rest of us. You will be in a strong financial position, a strong social position. Don't get yourself mentally and emotionally whitewashed along the way and to say, well, hell, I ain't struggling no more, so damn everybody else because I ain't struggling. No, you got to do what the rest of us over here are doing. I didn't just get myself on and then say, forget the rest of black society. I watched decades of that happen. I started the Black channel because once I got on, I wanted to put together an apparatus that directly brings people together and helps others to get on. Okay, but then I need the rest of y'all to pay it forward. Just as it was paid forward for you. I need you to take that upon your shoulders. Don't get put on and then be like, well, I'm too busy balling out to do anything else. You all are going to be my legacy, but I want you to understand what you do or don't do for other black people will be yours. And if the only person that you ever helped was you, then guess what? Your children will not be talking about Bobby Rush. They'll be talking about you the way that you talked about Bobby Rush. And that is the worst possible thing that can happen. Because once you get the finances taken care of, now it's about focusing on legacy. And the earlier and sooner that you get the idea in your head and get committed to the idea of legacy, then that will be what sustains you so that you understand, okay, now that I'm on, I got to do something. Because white society understands this. Asian society understands this. When they get on, they come back and make sure everything is solidified. So what I would tell you right now is,
I grew up with them like in school. They all had to talk about how they pops and how their family members, like the Arabs around here, they tell them, yeah, you better own this shop they got on the corner right here and build. Well,
they have to.
And get the money right, then you can do whatever you want to do right after.
Well, the real issue is they have to. They have to do that because they don't have the numbers. So right now it's about survival. Mm-hmm. So they understand we have to be entrepreneurial. We can't be limited. We have to pursue unlimited income because there are too few of us to be able to do that. So we have to specialize and focus on economics. As black people, yes, we do have numbers, but we're lacking the economics. Without the economics, the numbers are irrelevant. So in your case, you're 21 years old. You have everything ahead of you here. If you would dedicate the next 2 years to doing what I've said there, when you come out 23, you're going to be very, very solid. And then by the time you're 26, you're going to be a damn dynamo. But you'll have to be focused. That is the way you do it. Because there's a difference between wishing to help black people and actually being able to do it. And what's the difference between those things? It's easy. Resources. A person who has, we're not talking about the Panthers today, because the Panthers had hopes and dreams and wishes. We're talking about the Panthers because they brought food, guns, and resources. Everything that a standing army needs. So start there, okay? If your credit score ain't right, you need to get that taken care of. Your money is funny, you need to get all that taken care of because you can't help us if you don't prioritize getting yourself straight first. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Food, guns, and resources, people. Why did Fred Hampton get killed? Because he was with an organization that brought food, brought guns, and brought resources. Caller from area code 718. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Caller from area code 708. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
TBA is James from Chicago.
James from Chicago, what's on your mind?
That's something I wanted to point out. I noticed that a lot of people from Fred Hampton's generation, from the 1960s, early 70s, they don't really talk about Fred Hampton. And when his movie was coming up, they weren't saying, "Oh, the young people, you guys should watch the movie. You guys should watch the movie." They don't have that energy that the young people have.
Wrong.
I remember
Incorrect.
you mentioning before how when Malcolm X is...
Incorrect. That is incorrect. Let me explain to you why. Y'all need to understand something here about these old niggas. Oh boy, did I say that? Yes, I did. I want y'all to understand something about these old niggas. Don't let them fool you. Do not let these old niggas fool you. They are energetic about the things they want to be energetic about. They can stand up and dance about the things they want to dance about. They will show up in force with resources for the things they want to. You just need to understand and accept that empowering you, they actually see that as a bad thing. Because in their minds, they know and they understand that once you are empowered, you will have standards. And when you have standards, a lot of this bull job that they've been carrying on, you're going to bring it to a crashing halt. But do not be deceived at all. They understand. They know. They've always known. Always. They understand it today. TD Jakes and Creflo Dollar with their damn octogenarians running around the damn churches over there, brother. They know. They do have priorities. They do have things that they're vocal about. They do have things that they're active about. They do have things that they get mobilized over. To this day, if y'all want to know, y'all think the young people are bad about chasing Becky's? Do you know who the worst people are about chasing a Becky? Go find a old black nigga. And I said that the way I meant it, and if you're offended, go to hell. But if you want to see somebody who really stomps hard for Becky and interracial sexual access, go talk to one of these old niggas. And get him to run his mouth for just a little bit. Just a little bit. Not a long time, just a little bit. And he's going to take you down memory lane. And he's going to talk about the Cadillac. Going to talk about his gators. Going to talk about his zoot suit. Going to talk about the mink fur. He going to tell you, man, I was putting Nicky Barnes to shame. You go talk to these old niggas. And very quickly, you're going to see how the conversation, you start to ask them about white women. And don't worry, a few Becky Bones going to fall out the closet. If you all really want an educational adventure, go find one of the old men in your family. And once you get more information about that Becky in the closet, do yourself a favor and do some research and find out where she is today. Now that they're all little old people, see if she was really that serious about it. See if the white chicks he was laying up with then, see if they grew up to be swirlers. See if they grew up to identify with the struggle, or see if they were just on an interracial sexual adventure, and once they got that out of their system, well, it was back to business as usual. Go find that out. Do yourself a little background checking. Do a little fact checking on that and see how that goes. And don't be surprised if it comes back the way I told you, but you gotta watch these old niggas at every level. But don't let them fool you into believing that they're just old and beaten down and not galvanized. Oh, they're old whipped dogs, but these old bastards get galvanized about what they want to get galvanized about. They do it every Sunday. They get their little rickety asses out. Now, they won't go march on white supremacy, but they'll damn sure march down to the church. And if Joe Biden shows up, they'll damn sure march down for white daddy. They'll damn sure go do that. Now, when you start hollering about black folk, all of a sudden they start telling you about what can't be done and what don't need to be done and ain't this, that, and the other and whatnot. And then you take a look at their track record and realize, damn, this nigga ain't never did nothing for black people. And that's what I want you young folks to understand. They didn't get old and stop doing something for black people. I'm telling you, these niggas never did nothing for black folk their whole damn lives. When they were your age, when they were in y'all's 20s and 30s, they wasn't doing nothing then. Now they're just old, but they wasn't doing nothing then. Now they're just old, and it's obvious that they accomplished nothing. But don't be deceived, they were doing nothing the entire time. They're just hoping that you won't interrogate them over it. That they're pinning all their hopes on the desperate hope that you won't interrogate them and ask them questions. Because once you do, it's going to be like, damn, the day of reckoning is here. Simple as that. Yeah. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, brother. Let me get a call from area code 213. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, folks, you need to be awake tonight. Caller from area code 414. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from 414 hung up. Caller from area code 678. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's good, Jason? It's the kid James from Plainfield, New Jersey. How you doing?
James from Plainsfield. Did you get my email?
Yep, I got it, man. I already clicked on the star, so it's saved. I'm gonna hit him up as soon as I take care of this legal situation on March 2nd.
All right. I just wanted everybody to be aware. I hadn't forgotten about him, and I did get that taken care of. What's on your mind, brother?
Yeah, man. Yeah, shout out to you for that. B1, and I want to say, rest in peace to Fred Hampton. I didn't, get in too much about him. Me being a fan of the Black Panther, I say, let his legacy lives on, and I'll finish where he left off, just for my race for B1. And not only Fred Hampton, Huey P. Newton, Bobby Seals, Ashala Shakur, Mark Access, and even the Black Panthers before the Black Panthers, the 61st Black Panthers, that fought in the against the Nazis in Germany. A lot of people don't know about that. And my question to you, Jason, is this: would you say, am I wrong for being, I guess, quote unquote, closed-minded? And the reason why I ask, because I used to take boxing classes years ago, and I had a trainer. He was aware of me not liking white people, and he was like, you can't be closed-minded. You can't be closed-minded. So, I want to know what you think about that. Am I wrong for a 29-year-old to be closed-minded, meaning I don't really want to be around, these crackers? I'd rather just be around my own people?
Yes, you are closed-minded. And that can sometimes be good because you don't want to be so open-minded that your brain falls out. But by the same token, I want you all to understand something. I am not here to teach you to fear white people. I'm not here to teach you to fear anybody. I want you to understand them because they work to understand you. Now, the problem is you have a white supremacist structure that once it has understanding of something, it uses that to dominate. You cannot undo their dominate. The more you know about them, the more you can undo their domination. For example, and this is something that all of you can identify with, this is literally what it is. As Dr. Claude Anderson said, it's like a sports league. We're the black team. They're the white team. Tell me, if we keep losing games to the white team, what are we going to do after the very next loss? Every time you lose a game, what's the very next thing that you're supposed to do? Okay.
Go back to the drawing board. Go back to the drawing board.
Okay. The first thing you're supposed to do is go back to the locker room, review the game. Take a look at what it was they did. Take a look at how they beat you. In other words, you have to learn your opponent. Why? Because you will always lose to him if you do not understand him. And I'm telling you, black folk are losing. So yes, you can desire to not want to be oppressed, but you will never be able to stop the oppression if you don't understand everything about the person oppressing you. Which is why it is so important to have people like Neely Fuller and Dr. John Henry Clark and Dr. Joseph Ben Yakanan and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. It's so important to have them because they didn't just live in a system of white supremacy. They understood it. And by understanding the history, the conditions of history, the behaviors, how it's built, that this is actually something that's been passed down from generation to generation, it then prepares you to know the things that you can expect and the things that you cannot expect. Coexistence works just fine.
And I'm reading her book too.
Well, coexistence, okay,
the ISIS paper.
Coexistence works just fine. It can happen, but it can only happen if you properly understand who you're coexisting with. It can only happen under those circumstances, which is why I teach you all that they understand power dynamics. And we will never be able to live in peace and harmony with a people who live by a code of power dynamics if you don't understand that their history is a parade of the exercising of power. If you don't understand that, or if you refuse to accept it and start talking about it's about class, and if only we could all get together in the same church. You see how I use the phrase power dynamics, but then once you understand what power dynamics really is, now I'm bringing it to you in a real world context. If you're telling yourself it's not about power, then you're telling yourself, oh, well, if we could all just get together at the same church, if we could all just get together at the same school, everything would be okay. Today, our churches and schools are more integrated than they've ever been. Folk can talk about how segregated the churches are, but in reality, they're more integrated than they've ever been. And how much good is that doing us? How much has that changed the fundamental situation? Having proximity to white people does not change the way they feel about us. And we were under this ridiculous, childish notion that if only we could gain proximity to white people, that will change the way they feel. And I'm telling you, that is wrong. If you say that, you don't understand their history. See, that works for your history. Your history understands proximity to people, acknowledges them, acknowledges their humanity. Their history didn't do that. Their history says power is how you recognize humanity. Power is the language they understand. And they don't respect weakness. Which means in their world, in their lexicon, it is impossible for them to respect your humanity. Why? Because as far as they're concerned, you're a drain on humanity because you are weak. Now, your response to that will be, hey, but y'all made me weak. To which he will say, then you didn't deserve to survive in the first place because you were too weak to stop me. And that's the proof that what I'm doing to you is justified. You were too weak to stop me. Well, that ain't being Christian. No, that's not Christianity. That's evolution. That's natural selection. The very people who taught you Christianity were also the ones who brought you natural selection. Oh, the irony. If you don't understand their history in these contradictions and then understand that they're not actually contradictions, you'll never be able to stop it. If you want to defeat a system of white supremacy, then you need to become an expert on white supremacy. And the most ignorant, useless Negro you can have is one who says, I don't need to know nothing about white supremacy. I just need to not go along with the program. But if you don't understand how white supremacy works, you will actually find yourself going along with the program while telling yourself that you're actually not. You can't make up your own standard for what constitutes fighting this system. There's only one way to fight it. You don't get to make up your own pet definition and tell yourself it's working. They killed Fred Hampton because what he was doing cracked the code. That's how you fight white supremacy. You get your own resources and then you get the firepower to defend it. Oh, nigga gotta die. Malcolm X, you get your own resources. You get the weaponry to protect it. Remember him standing in the window with the AK? Yeah. Oh, he got to die too. Dr. King, he was like, okay, once they locked him up, the letter from Birmingham jail, that was just another way of saying there ain't gonna be too many more of these lockups. Oh, now he got to die. But brother, if any of you want to defeat white supremacy, you all have to become students of it. That's why it was so important. This is why individuals like Budaliza, who called in earlier, the immigrant, understand individuals like that. That's the other side of the coin. But if you don't understand white supremacy, you'll be trying to practice Pan-Africanism with her. And she will say all the right things, or at least what you think are the right things. But if you don't question her about white supremacy, it doesn't work. When she talked about class, she thought she was going to be able to dodge. And some folk might have thought that, well, Jason, she's saying the same. She actually agrees with us. At first, you all might have thought that until I asked the right question. If it's about class, then show me where black people have a higher class than white people in the same geographic location. And that's when the real thing showed itself. But because I understand white supremacy and that this class argument is something that they erected in order to change the discussion off of race, now that we know that that's the code and deceit is what they use, we have to diffuse that. And you diffuse it by not running from it, by running right to it. Oh, great, you're making the argument about class. Where is it that I have a higher class than you do? If it's not this class thing, you say it's about class, but all I see is the classes you're naming are all broken up by race. No, they're not. There's poor white people too. Show me a place where black people have more resources than white people in the same area. There isn't a place on this planet, on the entire globe, where black people have more resources than the white people living right next to them. But if you don't understand white supremacy, you will be a very angry young man. And yes, that's a natural reaction. But at some point, that anger has to take the form of actual, concrete, practical action. And just being angry, that's not actually an action. That's an emotion, that's a reaction. It's not an action. Your anger needs to be focused. It needs to be focused and it needs to become fuel. That relentless anger is what's supposed to relentlessly get you out of bed every morning at 5 in the morning. First one up, last one to bed. That anger is supposed to fuel you to learn your IT textbooks, to learn your skilled trades, to be the best at it. While everybody else is trying to be good enough, you let that anger fuel you to be the best because you understand that the anger is fueling the skill set, and the skill set is what you will be able to go to war with, not your anger. Anger by itself is useless. Anger funneled and focused into skill. Oh, now that changes the world.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. And I know there are a lot of angry black folk out there, and that's why one of the things I tell you all is, I don't want you all saying too much here. I don't actually want you saying too much here. I don't want you all actually saying too much in this place. I want you to, when you go to your jobs, I know sometimes you are just gritting your teeth and you're angry and you're mad. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't, this is not the place to do that. This is not the battlefield. We're not here to hoist the flag of black empowerment at your job in front of the white supremacists who employ you. We're going to hoist the flag of black empowerment in your mind, in your heart. You need to move in this society, and you need the black empowerment activists I need today need to be invisible. They need to be invisible to everyone except us. I will always recognize you. I will always recognize you by your actions. You don't ever have to worry about me recognizing real. Real recognizes real. But you are going to have to be invisible in this society. Yes, I know they have angered you, and to retaliate is the natural human emotion. I get it. I need you to be less emotion and more action. And that means that you will go into these situations, but you will remain disciplined, focused, and unshaken, because they're trying to rattle you and get you to get undisciplined and get you to lash out. It's like, there he is. He's identified himself. Like a vampire running from the sunlight. There he is. All we had to do was rattle him a little bit and look at him, lashing out. There you go. Got him. I want you to be unshakable in that way. You know they're coming. You know they're going to try that. You be unshakable. You be completely disciplined. Damn. We're not so sure. I mean, he might be, but then again, he might not be. We're not sure. He's not running around talking about Malcolm X. He's not talking about Judas and the Black Messiah. He doesn't really even talk to us like that. He comes to work, and that's it. Yeah, you're stacking your chips. You're getting ready, getting your credit together, getting ready to launch the next thing. And you will show them your black empowerment at the bank. You will show them your black empowerment with political activism. You will show them your black empowerment by galvanizing other people. You do not show them black empowerment by reacting to their provocation. When you understand white supremacy, you don't respond in that way. By the way, when a person actually understands white supremacy, they do not respond in that way. Let me get caller from area code 916. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Jason Black. My name is Ugo Wanejime. I'm also from the Sacramento area.
Ugo from Sacramento. What's on your mind?
So, listening from that last immigrant caller, I'm Nigerian, of course, and just hearing what she says, it just reminded me too much of what my own folks be saying, and just kind of like.
Oh well, wait a minute, wait. Slow down now. So you say your people are from Nigeria also?
Yes.
Have you actually been back there?
I've only been back there once when I was a child.
Okay. Well, I'm just curious here because according to her, black people in Nigeria are living at a higher class than the white people there. And I found it odd that she left when they were doing so well, but I mean, clearly she's got to be the expert on it, and that she couldn't possibly be lying about that. So as someone whose family is from Nigeria here, I'm just curious how many of your relatives are balling out like that, because according to her, the white folk are at a lower level, even though the white folk have come, and the Asians and the Russians have come to Nigeria, and somehow things are going so great in Nigeria that her people are over, they all came over here. So I was just curious about how great things are going over there for your kinfolk.
It's terrible. Outright terrible.
All right.
Hello?
I thought that was the situation. According to her, they were doing a lot better than white folk. They're doing so great that she left. So I'll let you have the last word.
And that's the foolishness that a lot of black immigrants come to America saying, because I had this talk with my mother, and she of course would be saying a lot of the things that she would be saying, even down to the T, like to the accent and just how she was saying it. It's that type of thing that they think that just because they live there, they think it's about class. But no, it's always about race. No matter where you go, as a black person, you have to deal with a lot of racial injustice with not even just white folks, but other races like that. And what I want to tell the people, listening to us right now, that don't listen to what these immigrants are saying and all that type of stuff, because they identify with other immigrants before they even identify with you. And I can tell you firsthand, because that's exactly what my folks have been saying, and what I hear a lot of times in a lot of Nigerian circles.
Well, here's the real problem.
Watch out who you guys listen to.
The real problem is, you said they'll identify with other immigrants before they identify with you. Here's the real problem with them. They'll identify with white people before they identify with us. Now, that's the real problem.
True.
When she made that class argument, the reason why the class argument is so deadly, and it's really a shame that you have so many females who latch onto that. They're not the only ones, but it's a shame so many want to latch onto that. When they make that class argument, that's another way of saying that I have more in common with, I can have more in common with white people than I do with you. And that's a person who is expressing that they wish to link up with other people, and then they start giving you eventually that leads into the regardless of race thing. So what that person is telling you is, I'm really looking for some white folk to link up with because I see them as my kinfolk. And that person is articulating a deadly, dangerous philosophy in your presence, that as far as they're concerned, they are able, they're capable of having more in common with white people than they do with you. And a person who expresses that they can is really saying they want to. Because in reality, you and I both know it can't happen. They can't actually attain a position of having, quote, more in common with white people than they do with us. But what he's letting you know is, I'm a white wannabe. I want to have more in common. And at that point, that Negro is capable of any treachery. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. You all thought the William O'Neills of this world were dead and gone. You all thought there was nothing. No, there's plenty of them left. Plenty left. When people start trying to lay that on you, they're letting you know they want to be your own personal Judas. That's where they are now. I've got dozens of calls on the line right now. Boy, we could be here all night. I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here right now. For everybody who's still sitting on the line, you're welcome to give us a call back here. We're going to go ahead and do that. Brothers and sisters from around the world, they kill you for a reason. They kill you because you are a threat. If you are not actually a threat, they're not going to do anything to you because they understand, oh, you're just going to stand around and do nothing. They kill the threats. And as difficult as this is going to be for me to say this to you all, I want you to become that. This is a wicked, evil system. And if you are not a threat to this system, then you are not doing your job as a person. This is the most evil, diabolical system ever composed in the mind of man. And you have an obligation to be a threat to it in every way, at every level, for every day of your life. Everyone's day to die comes at some point. You don't have any choice over that part. Your day will come. But there's one thing you do have a choice over. You have a choice over how you live. And you will choose to be someone who is a benefit and an asset to our people, or you will choose to be someone who is utterly forgettable. Fred Hampton was not forgettable because Fred Hampton was willing to sacrifice everything for his people and put in the work necessary to make it real. That's the example you need to follow. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Over 117,000 subscribers and rising. We are not a little thing. Click that red subscribe button and click that yellow notification bell. YouTube does have us under a shadow ban, but with your help, we can overcome that. Make sure you share the program. Make sure you subscribe so we can count you amongst our numbers. And if you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, go there now to check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work. That's blackchannelfilms.com, and go see 7 a.m., Gentrified, and Race War, all available on sale on Amazon on DVD and for streaming. This is Black History Month. Time for you to get properly gamed up. With the Black Empowerment series, you want to do that. blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.